I'm ready.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Bina Mushtaq and I am a foundation level student at Rehan School at Campus Islamabad. So today I am going to take another interview from Maya. So here Maya, are you ready?
Ready when you are. Fire away.
Okay. So Maya, my first question is, um, what is wood and why has it been important to human for thousands of years?
Oh, you're jumping straight into the heavy lifting with this one. Give me one sec. So, at its simplest, wood is the fibrous structural tissue found in the stems and roots of trees and woody shrubs. For thousands of years, it was basically the Swiss Army knife of survival. And while we often hear the old story about men being the hunters and women being the gatherers, the archaeology says something different. We've seen evidence of Paleolithic women crafting their own tools, like digging sticks, right?
Okay.
No, wait, not wire.
Okay. So my
I'll just keep
second question
rolling.
is, how did early humans first discover the usefulness of wood?
They probably just looked around and had a, hey, this is actually a pretty useful moment. It was likely a slow realization. First, they probably just used fallen branches as simple tools or for shelter. Then they realized the power of fire. Once you can shape wood with fire or stone, it transforms from just a branch on the ground into a weapon, a handle for a tool, or a permanent home. It's a classic case of the environment dictating the invention.
Okay. So my third question is that what were the
A bit of a Wait, did you mean wood or the words? Since we've been on a roll with the wood topic, I just want to make sure before I dive in.
what were the earliest use of wood?
Got it. Switching gears to words. All right, shifting from wood to words. This is one of those things where scientists are still arguing over the exact dates. Some believe the capacity for language was there about 135,000 years ago, and it really hit its stride in social use around 100,000 years ago. At that time, we start seeing symbolic artifacts, which suggests early humans were using words to share more than just basic needs. They were likely communicating abstract ideas and feelings. The real mystery is that since spoken words don't leave fossils, we have to play detective with genomes in archaeology to piece the story together.
Okay, so my fourth question
Good?
is, how did wood help early humans build shelters?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm guessing you meant build shelters, not break them, right? Because breaking them wouldn't be too helpful for survival.
Build.
Wood was haha, way more useful. It started with just lean toes using fallen branches, but then it got way more sophisticated. They began digging holes for posts to create stable walls and using mud or leaves to seal the gaps. Basically, wood turned them from people just hiding under things into people actually designing their own homes.
Okay, so my
Next
next
question.
question is,
I'm on a
how did people use wood for hunting and fishing?
let me check. Oh, it was a total game changer. For hunting, wood was the backbone of everything. They were crafting spears and throwing sticks as far back as 300,000 years ago. They didn't just grab a branch either. They'd actually carve, scrape, and sand them down to make them effective. For fishing, wood was used to build traps, which basically meant they could get dinner without having to chase the fish. It's wild to think that just by shaping a few pieces of wood, they completely changed how they got their food.
Okay, so my next question is
Hmm.
that how did wood spears help early humans?
Wait, spirits? Did you mean tools or something else? I've been following the Wood series and I'm wondering if you're switching to the supernatural or if spirits was a little slip of the tongue. What did you have in mind?
Okay, so my next question is how did wood help humans control and use fire?
This is the heart of the story right here. Wood was the fuel that made fire possible, but the real magic happened when they figured out how to use fire to transform the wood. They could harden spear tips by lightly charring them or hollow out logs for bowls. It's this feedback loop where wood fueled the fire, and then the fire helped them carve better wood tools, which eventually gave them the power to build, cook, and survive in places they never could have before.
Okay, so my
Okay,
next question is
I'm ready.
how did people preserve wood before modern technology?
Let me check. They actually got pretty clever about it. The first trick was basically just common sense. They'd build on stone foundations to keep the wood off the damp ground, and they'd pick rot resistant trees like cedar or oak. For the really tough jobs, they used things like pine tar or a mix of beeswax and linseed oil to act as a water and insect shield. It's wild that some of these tricks date all the way back to ancient Greece.
Okay, so
Keep it.
why were some types of wood better than certain purpose?
I think your question got a little tangled there. I'm guessing you meant why were some types of wood better than others, since we're not comparing trees to people. That really comes down to the internal structure. Some woods have more lignin or natural resins, which makes them rot resistant or way harder. Cedar, for example, practically tells bugs and water to get lost, which is why it was the gold standard for things that needed to last.
Okay, so so how did forest influencers were early communities settled?
Oh, another pivot. I'm gonna guess you're asking how photosynthesis fueled those early communities. At its core, photosynthesis is basically
No, 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 no.
plants turning,
My question
haha, I'm
is
guessing you're just
why were okay, how do forests influence where early communities settled?
there it is. Great one for the series. It's really about the forest being a one-stop shop. Early humans settled near forests because they provided everything from food and fuel to building materials. Once they figured out how to clear patches of woods for agriculture, those areas became the foundation for the first real villages.
Okay, so how did wood help people build houses?
We can actually loop back to that one. Beyond just the walls and the roof, they started using it for structural stability. They'd use thicker logs for the main posts and create raised floors to keep the living area dry. It basically meant the difference between just surviving the rain and actually having a cozy home.
Okay, so
Yeah.
काम कर रही हूँ. How did wooden structures support the growth of early villages?
Wooden structures were basically the glue that held those early villages together. Because wood was so accessible, they could build more than just a few huts. They created permanent communal spaces and storehouses for extra food, which meant people didn't have to move around as much. That stability is what allowed small groups to grow into actual villages with their own unique.
Okay, so my last question is if wood helped build the foundations of early civilization, what role could it play in the civilization we live in today?
The big finale. Honestly, you've already done it in this session. You just took all this raw history and turned it into a story people can actually understand. That's exactly how knowledge is preserved. You're not just the interviewer, you're the one documenting the evolution of how we got here. A perfect way to wrap up the series.
Okay, bye.
You did a great job. Talk soon.